Hello and welcome to Empire of Wargames. My name is Deeplesh and today we are talking about alternative 500 points lists for the Craftworlds faction. We are also going to briefly touch on the Combat Patrol box and whether you really need to buy separate boxes or whether the Combat Patrol box is actually a good start depending on if you're a more competitive or a more casual player. If you enjoy the content, consider leaving a thumbs up and subscribing, as well as checking the links down in the description below if you want to support what I do. Alright, let's get into the video. Alright, so the first box we are going to talk about, or the first list we are going to talk about, is the Combat Patrol box. I have not gotten around yet to upload and produce a Combat Patrol analysis on this box, but at first glance and, judging by the couple of games I've got to play with this particular list, I really think that the Craftworlds Combat Patrol box is not bad at all. The list you see in front of you is a list I've played it with just Hail of Doom and that is it, and I think it works really well. The Farseer is just a staple. You're probably going to want more of them, which is actually kind of cool because that makes this box actually a buy you could consider getting twice, which is not bad at all. Most Combat Patrols are usually kind of gated, or the HQ choice kind of screws a little bit with your ability to effectively buy this twice and still have meaningful savings, but this time around it is actually great. The Guardian Defenders are a little bit of a weaker unit currently. Rangers are the go-to for the troop section, but for casual games, Guardian Defenders are absolutely fine. Storm Guardians, on the other hand, are a little bit on the weaker side, weak enough that I would consider them a little bit questionable, but I hope this will get all addressed in the next data slate. Next up, we have the Wraith Lord. Wraith Lord, always a solid unit, especially if you want to look towards, running all Wraith lists in the future. I'm obviously mentioning that because I play Yan myself, but the Wraith Lord on its own, no matter really which Craftworld you are looking forward to playing, is always a solid choice. It is not the most competitive choice on its own and without really Wraith support, but I still think it's a solid unit overall, and it's cheap enough and tanky enough to consider running it. And last but not least, we have two squads of Wind Raiders. It's basically 6 of them, and these are your fast moving bike units that are also very solid. You don't see them much on competitive tables either, but for kind of casual or crusade lists, these are absolutely excellent, and I've had a lot of fun just piloting them, moving them around, especially on the smaller board. They're incredibly fast and they get where they need to be and delete units if you have a little bit of luck with your shuriken rolls. Other than that, yeah, this list and this box in particular I have no issues with. The only thing I would probably change is kind of, I don't know, maybe get 2 squads of Rangers in there instead of the Guardian Defenders, and that's it. Other than that, this list is really good. But I have prepared 500 points lists for other Craftworlds, specifically for Craftworlds, for Hail of Doom, and so on. So we are going to talk about them next. Furthermore, this is going to be a 2-parter, so you can expect in the next couple of days to see another upload, which is also going to cover 500 points lists for the Craftworlds, and it's probably going to cover the Craftworlds that you're not going to see today. Alright, so how about we start with a Hail of Doom list, which is a little bit simpler, a little bit less competitive, but extremely fun to pilot. It is a Farseer, Guardian Defenders with a heavy platform. It's 2 squads of Dire Avengers with the exact same loadout you can see on the screen, and War Walkers, which are just equipped with shuriken weapons, and that is the entire list. It is basically all shuriken and Dire Avengers, which are really strong, and they are going to be kind of the hammer of your list. They are going to be your damage dealers, where the Guardian Defenders are more there to just, focus on one objective, get there, get in cover, and hopefully hold it for long enough. And should anything come close, they'll be able to shoot fairly effectively. The Farseer is there to support the War Walkers or the Dire Avengers, depending on your needs and whatever you prefer. You can run them fairly closely together, especially on 500 points boards. So yeah, this list, basic Hail of Doom, lots of shuriken weapons, and a lot of fun to pilot. It is somewhat similar to the Combat Patrol box, but also not really. The Warwalkers are not in there. They are kind of a stand-in for the Wraith Lord, and the Dire Avengers are kind of a stand-in for the Wind Raiders, although they obviously fill completely different roles. But Dire Avengers are really, really strong, and no matter kind of which archetype you're looking forward to playing with Craftworlds, I assume that Dire Avengers are always going to be at least decent, because they're kind of a staple of the faction and of the army. And yeah, if you're looking forward to using shuriken weapons, they're usually a safe bet as far as buying future-proof units goes, if that is even a thing in Warhammer. Next up, we have a fairly punchy Simhan list, which has a Farseer Skyrunner, 2 squads of 5 Rangers, one is equipped with a Wire Wave Net, and then we have 2 squads of Shining Spears. One is equipped with a couple of things you can see on the screen, with a Shimmer Shield and a couple of upgrades for the Shining Spear Exarch, while the other Shining Spears are just bare bones, 3 of them, no changes at all. They are more or less a distraction of the list. This list is fairly easy to explain. The Farseer Skyrunner is going to accompany the more equipped Shining Spear squad, and he's going to kind of support them and make sure that they are going to hit whatever you need deleted first, and you're usually going to get there on turn 1. The other Shining Spears, as I said, are either a distraction or they are going to hit whatever is on the other side of the board usually. Your 2 squads of Rangers are there to hold objectives. One is probably going to stay close to your deployment zone, while the other is going to push a little bit more forward. And hopefully your Shining Spears are kind of able to meet your opponent either in their deployment zone and contest their objectives, or you'll have your second Shining Spear squad contesting another objective on the mid board basically. And this list, if played well, can hit very, very hard, although I have to say that usually games, when you get to your opponent and when you destroy that key unit of theirs, can get really dull, because, you know, getting there turn 1 is rather easy with such quick units, so keep that in mind. Like, it can turn games or decide games very, very quickly. But if you're into that, and if you're looking to expand into a more mobile Simhan list down the line for 1000 points and so on, I think this is a really, really solid start. Rangers are kind of the go-to. They have a secondary objective that is kind of tailored to them. That is why they are run. They are also the cheapest option currently for the troops choice. There's a lot of good stuff about them. They're tanky in cover and so on. So getting Rangers is not a bad idea, although you need to realize that, you know, getting Rangers is a costly endeavor. So if you check the pricing list, it is not a cheap list at all, but I think it is worth it if you want to go for that Simhan specific theme and for their kind of vibe of just really quick units and maneuverability. Last but not least for this video is a more kind of casually orientated BL10 list. This one contains a Farseer because that is just the go-to unit you're going to need for any and every Craftworlds list. There's just nothing bad about Farseers. Then there are Guardian Defenders, which are your baseline. If you want to start with a more points intensive list, 750 points or so on, consider getting Rangers, but that can change at all times. The next data slate is approximately 4 months away, so keep that in mind whenever you buy something and whenever you try to estimate whether you get everything painted for a tournament within the next 4 months or not. Because if not, just get what you consider cool and then check the meta and, you know, build your lists accordingly. Anyway, then there are Dire Avengers, Howling Banshees and Swooping Hawks. They are obviously in there to facilitate all the useful abilities and buffs BL10 has for basically aspect units, aspect warrior units. And all 3 of those are kind of the premium tier of aspect units. Dire Avengers, as I said previously, are just extremely potent damage dealers. Their shuriken weapons hit really, really hard, even without Hail of Doom. Howling Banshees are extremely quick and they are extremely hard hitting, especially if you equip the Banshee Exarch with mirror swords and with another certain combo. You'll be able to see it on the screen right now. It's a very, very effective combo and allows you to dish out a ton of attacks, which is especially useful in those lower points games if you run into a brick wall of just a lot of orcs, like 20 orcs or something. That'll allow you to delete them very, very quickly. Swooping Hawks, I don't think need really an introduction. They're quick, they have great weapons, they can just disappear off the battlefield whenever you wanted to. I don't think that is really necessary for the smaller boards that are 500 points combat patrol games, but they are just a great unit. Even if they get nerfed again, should that ever happen in the next data slate, I think they are still going to be a great unit no matter what. So Swooping Hawks, definitely a decent buy. The only problem I have with this list really is that Swooping Hawks currently are fine cast, and it is something I usually don't recommend. But if you're someone who doesn't care for, you know, working with resin, or if you have the ability to kind of kit bash them or whatever, I think Swooping Hawks are definitely a cool unit to include in your list, just simply because of the rules. But yeah, consider the fact that if you just want to buy them out of the box from GW, this is going to be a fine cast kit, and I don't really see them getting updated anytime within the next couple of months. So yeah, make of that what you will. Other than that, the price here is also a little bit higher. Obviously, the Swooping Hawks are a little bit more expensive. Howling Banshees are a little bit more expensive. And yeah, but other than that, it is still kind of a fairly average price list if you want to get everything separately. Yeah, as I said, if you want to go a little bit higher with your points, or if you just want to kind of go with the currently more popular route, consider switching out the Guardian Defenders or supplementing them with kind of a Ranger squad or two if you're going for 750 points or something. All right, and those are the lists I wanted to present today. We have a couple of Craftworlds covered, we have Hail of Doom covered, and the Combat Patrol covered. And I think all three lists are, while they are very different, they offer something for everyone. If you have any questions regarding any of the lists, feel free to ask. If you're wondering where the rest of the Craftworlds are, just check out the next video in the next couple of days, and it's probably going to be there. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was insightful, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.